We're right on time. Perfect.
Perfect. I think we are set to get started. So thank you everybody for coming. We're incredibly excited to see so many of you join us today as we continue to get creative to figure out ways to connect virtually and share expertise across the engineering and security communities. So again, thank you for being here this afternoon. My name is Jody Kaut. I'm the Vice President of the cybersecurity team at Target. I've actually been with Target for 14 years now, and I still love every minute of it. The people-centric culture, both for our team and our guests, could not make me more proud to be part of the Target organization. And this people-centric culture, of course, expands to our dedication for diversity and inclusion, or D&I. One of our top D&I priorities continues to be drawing women in and raising women up in tech. And we do this through a variety of means. The way we focus our recruiting efforts on events such as Grace Hopper, the way we push for diverse candidate pools for open positions, the way we create unique leadership training programs dedicated to women and underrepresented to help them advance in their careers, the way we pay for women to attend coding boot camps such as HackRight, and just so much more that Target does to connect with women in the tech community and provide opportunities for career advancement. All of this makes me feel extremely humbled every day by all the bright, strong women I get to work with at Target, and Jen Czapleski is right at the center of that. She leads a really fun space of product security, or what might be more familiar to all of you as AppSec for Target. It's everything from our penetration testing team to dynamic and static scanning and some creative solutions in between that she's going to talk a bit about today. So today she's actually going to bust some myths with all of you in the AppSec space. And she'll save some time at the end for some discussion and Q&A as well. So with that, Jen, I will hand it over to you to bust some AppSec myths.
Thanks, Jody. And I'm Jen Czapleski, as Jody said. I lead the product security team at Target. I've also been here for 14 years and also love every minute of it. And I'm just really excited to talk about some of the innovative ways that we've changed conventional things about the way that we do our application security program here at Target. So I'll note that product security really exists to make it as easy as possible for our developers to build secure applications. So keeping that in mind, we're going to just back up a little bit and make sure that we're all on the same page about Target. So Target is a Fortune 30 retailer. We have 1,800 stores in all 50 United States. We have 350,000 team members. And while our stores are based in the US, we have team members across the world. We have 40 distribution centers, and last year we reported $75 billion in revenue. And if you're like me and shop at Target all the time, you might already know those things. But what you might not know is how critical technology is to the way that Target operates every day. Some of our most important guest-facing features, like order pickup and drive up, and our partnership recently with Shipt to bring Target orders and groceries to people's homes within a couple of hours, are really technology-heavy projects. And those technology investments weren't invented by somebody who's working in some line of Target business and then throwing it over the wall to our IT partners. Our IT teams are really closely working with development and business teams on a daily basis to decide where our future is and really collaborate to figure out the best way to deliver a really innovative guest experience. In order to be that really critical, innovative partner with our business teams, our IT organization had to go through a transformation in order to set ourselves up to be as nimble as we are today. So in 2015, we underwent a pretty substantial business transformation. Prior to 2015, we had a lot of projects, and we relied heavily on contractors to help us provide some of our tech skills. We used a lot of vendor products. And throughout the transformation in 2015, we adopted more of a product model. We have 4,500 or so engineers at Target today, and all engineers and all Target team members that are in technology roles are part of product teams, and there's at least 200 products that exist at Target today. Those product teams follow agile methodologies and DevOps philosophies every day. And we've organized ourselves around being very curious. And we have a concept at Target called 50 Days of Learning. And it's not just a title, it's a literal name of what we offer to team members. Every team member in target IT organizations are not only allowed to spend 50 days a year learning, but we're really expected to be spending 50 days a year learning and developing our skill sets and really continuing to be that skilled and elite and innovative partner for our Target's business. So in 2015, when IT went through its transformation, our security team really transformed as well. We became less of an enforcer of security policy and more of a partner and a teacher with our business partners. And we adopted some values at that time that you'll hear me talk about a lot today, and that is really understanding who our customers are and how we can best serve them. We really strive to reduce the friction that we introduce from security into development processes and want to focus very much on making sure that we're bringing value to engineering teams every day. So I mentioned that we have 4,500 developers, 200 product teams. We have multiple languages that those developers use to build applications. They're checking in code multiple times a day. And so from an application security perspective, it's really exciting but challenging to figure out the best way to make sure that we're protecting target information and still be that really good partner with our development teams. So Jody said we were going to bust some myths, and that's absolutely what we're going to do. We're going to talk about 3 areas where Target's implementation is a little bit non-conventional, but through the innovation, we were able to do some really good things that are working with our environment. So the first myth that I will be busting today is that there's no single metric to measure the security of an application. And I've worked in application security now for over 5 years, and I've heard this myth a lot. It's really an interesting question. How do you measure the security of an application in a way that's easy for teams to understand, but is also really meaningful? In the application security world, some of the more common ways that we measure application security have been security test coverage. So how many security tests do you have for your application? It could be defects per line of code. So are you seeing a lot of security defects? We can measure how fast development teams are fixing security issues when they come in. But all of those end up being pretty complicated. And so we really challenged ourselves. How do we simplify and make it really easy for a team to understand how secure is my product? So in 2017, we launched a system called Product Intelligence. And what you'll notice right on the screen at a glance is that there's a single number there. And that number is a weighted algorithm. The score for each product can range between 300 and 850. And if that feels like a familiar scale, it's meant to be. We based it off of how credit bureaus offer personal credit scores. So where we are similar to a credit score is that we use the same scale. But where we're very different than a credit score is we tell you, here are the 25 different inputs that go into this weight algorithm. Here's exactly how we calculate the algorithm. Here's all of the data that makes up the algorithm. One of our goals is to be very transparent, and we're trying to build trust with our development partners so that when we tell them that they're a 751 and there are some things we would like them to do to improve the security of their product, they trust us and they believe that. So the 700 or the credit score ranging from 300 to 850 is really based off of 4 categories, and you can see those down at the bottom. The first category is findings and vulnerabilities. And what we measure here is essentially for all the different types of security issues that might exist in their product. Those could be security findings, maybe from a pen test. They could be security vulnerabilities that exist in the environment. We don't measure how many they have. We don't care if they have 1 or 100. What we measure is each team within the guidelines of our security recommendations can choose dates by which they will plan to address those security issues. And so 45% of each product's points are they closing the findings or addressing the vulnerabilities according to the schedule that they set. The next group of points is security services, and that makes up 35% of the score. And really what we're doing here is making sure that not only are they closing findings according to the schedule, but also that they're doing the security tests that might help them understand how secure the application is. Again, this could include penetration testing or dynamic scanning, or making sure that they've populated the risk register so we know the security of the application. The next category is security culture. And really what we measure here is, do you have a security ninja? And is that security ninja doing the things that we want security ninjas to do? And if you have questions about security ninjas, we'll be talking about that in the next myth that we'll be busting. And the last category is security incidents. Really, has this product been attributed the cause of a security event in the last 12 months? So the score is really helpful. It gives a product team an at-a-glance look for what their kind of overall weighted algorithm score could be for the security and health of their application. But what's really important about the product intelligence system is not that we just show them the score, but we outline for them in priority order the actions that they should take to improve the security of their product. So if you can see the screen, it says this product is called Phacosaurus Rex. That is not a real product at Target, although I wish it were. Phacosaurus Rex is a product that we created to kind of illustrate some of the elements of the system. But if Phacosaurus Rex were a real problem, they would have some work to do. They should be doing penetration testing on some of the applications that fall within this product. They have some findings that are overdue and they should look at those. They've got some critical vulnerabilities in their environment that need to be addressed. They created an incident at some point in the last 12 months. So these specific actions to take with the corresponding points helps the team prioritize all the things that we want them to do to make their product more secure. Other things you might notice on the screen is some comparison information. The product rank shows you not only that you have a 751 for Phacosaurus Rex, but at 751, that puts this product in the bottom 30th percentile of all the products at Target. And this is a really important element. When we launched the system in 2017, I was meeting with an actual peer who owned an actual product, and their score was a 640. And I was like, great, here's your score. It's a 640. Here's the actions that you should take. And she said, yep, sounds good. Yep, I got the actions. And I said, this puts your product in the bottom 10% of all the products in IT. And she said, there's no way that's right. Your data has to be wrong. We take security very seriously. No way we're in the bottom 10%. So it really led to a good conversation about how we measure the security of products and all the things that her team could do to improve the security of her product. And it's been a really powerful tool to help people know not only just a single number, but sort of a relative number. That particular product is one that we continue to partner with, and I think they're up into the 780s now, so they've really made some good strides in improving the security of the product. Last thing you might see on the page is a historical trend. So not only do we let teams compare themselves to others, we let them compare themselves to themselves and their historical self. I'm currently working out of my home office, but someday when we're back in the office, and when we were in the office prior to the pandemic, it was really not uncommon to be walking around different team spaces and seeing that people would have their product intelligence score and maybe like a little graph that they've drawn on their whiteboard for where they've been and where they're trying to go. We see a lot of teams taking pride in the security of their products and in their PI scores. So I mentioned that transparency and trust is really important. And so what you can see for Phacosaurus Rex are all of the elements that make up that 751. But this is also where we start helping developers not have to stop development to come interact with security tools. So wherever possible, we offer integrations right back to where developers do their work. And in this case, we have ability to import the security information into either their Jira or GitHub backlogs so that teams can prioritize security work right alongside the rest of the work that they're working on a day-to-day basis. So it's really something that we use on a regular basis. And as I look at this dashboard, it seems to make a lot of sense. But if I can walk you back to prior to 2017 when we launched this system, it's really hard to imagine how differently we operate today. So prior to the implementation of this system where teams could get all of this information in a single screen, we had teams of security analysts whose primary job was to make sure that they understood the findings that existed for particular products. They would spend hours every month going into the findings system, pulling the data out of the system, putting it in spreadsheets, organizing it, emailing it to the teams, meeting with the teams to help them understand what they needed to do. And when we think back to that time, we used to say, that the security of a product is really the accountability of the product team. But we were the security teams were the ones doing most of the work. The system that we've created now really does put the trust and accountability and power to do the right thing from a security perspective in the hands of our development teams. When we launched the Product Intelligence System in 2017, it was really intended for developers and development teams. But it wasn't too long after we launched it that people who lead those teams really were asking us for some summary information. So we've created another view that shows if I'm leading a suite of products, what do all of my products look like? I can see the scores for all of my products. I can see what percentile they fall in. But I can most importantly say, how am I doing on some of the more important elements that feed into the security of products? How is my team overall doing with closing findings? How is my team doing overall with adopting security services or addressing specific security coding flaws that might exist in different applications? And this has been really fun for us to be able to offer customized and tailored training for different portfolios based on different things that they're seeing to help make sure that they're being set up to build really secure products. So if any of this sounds really interesting, and if you wanted to implement something like this in an organization that you're currently working at, or if it sounds really interesting and you want to learn more about how to do things like this at Target, here's a little bit of history on how we got to where we were. When we started the system in 2017, we had 2 or 3 engineers. We did a lot of the back end work ourselves, but the front end is open source. The dashboards that you were seeing on the last few screens are an open source product called Superset. We rely on the integrations to different source systems. So there's more than 25 different data feeds that come into the system today. And we rely on the source systems to provide us that information via good APIs. And a few things that are really helpful to make this system have the speed of adoption that we were able to have. First is having good asset management. Knowing all of the applications and the risk of those applications really helps you pull all of this information together. Second is clear policy. We didn't introduce any new requirements when we rolled out the system. All we were showing is, here's what the policy already asked teams to do, and here's how you're doing that in a specific way. So we were able to rely on a source of truth for why we were asking teams to do what we were asking them to do. And lastly, these numbers and actions and measurements matter because they matter from our frontline teams all the way up to our CIO. And this isn't just another metric, it's a really important element that our technical partners use to determine the security of their products. All right, that was the first myth, that we can create a single metric to measure the security of products. So I'm gonna pivot a little bit and talk a little bit more about the 4,500 developers that we have and the more than 200 products that we have. And it poses a tough problem for the security team. We can't be everywhere at once. So how do we make sure that we have the right decisions being made when people are checking in code multiple times a day across those many thousands of individual applications that we have? And so some organizations have decided, and as did we, to create some kind of security guild. And some organizations call them security advocates or security champions. We chose to call our program the Security Ninjas. And we chose that name because we view ninjas as being nimble and at the top of their game. But where we've gone in a different direction than other organizations who have programs like this is that our program isn't a tiered learning where everybody in the IT organization starts at a level, and then as they learn more and more things, they move up in the belt structure. Our program is designed to be exclusive. The reason that we created this program to be exclusive in 2016 is that our hypothesis then was, if we have a program that is considered prestigious and exclusive and sort of a thing you would aspire to, that we wouldn't get a lot of people who weren't really that excited about being here. We'd get the really passionate people who care about security and care about making meaningful change within their individual product teams. And so we created the exclusive Target Security Ninja program. Participants in the program are, as they were in 2016 when we started, most often influential people on the team. That doesn't mean years of service. It doesn't mean any degree of, being very seasoned or not seasoned. What we're looking for here are folks that when they speak, the team listens. many times the security ninjas on teams are the trusted advisor for not only their development peers, but also the VPs and leaders that lead these teams overall to help make good security decisions. So really being an influential voice is important. But the other thing that's really important is making sure that they are also passionate about security. We've had a number of people who have joined the program over the 4 years that we've had this program. And sometimes people get voluntold. I don't know if anyone here has ever been voluntold into something. I certainly have had my share of voluntolds over the 14 years I've been at Target. But when people are put into the program and they begrudgingly join, we don't really see them be the passionate, excited, going above and beyond kind of person that we're really looking to make this change across the 4,500 people and 200 plus products that exist at Target. So that's who we're looking for in terms of participants. As I mentioned, the program is exclusive, and we've set a limit that no more than 5% of our overall tech population can be actively a security ninja. So with 4,500 people, it's about 225 total. Right now we have 160 people that are in the program, and that gives us a little bit of room to grow as we need to. And essentially the goal of the program is to build security awareness and excitement in that core group of people who are influential and passionate, with the hope and expectation that they'll go back and take that security knowledge and passion back to their teams to create a culture of security within the teams that they work. What has happened has been certainly that they've created a culture of security, but it's been an accidental talent pipeline for the security team. It wasn't something we set out to do, but in every year since we've started the program, between 4 and 8 people learn a lot, get really excited about security, and then leave the Security Ninja program to actually become full-time security team members. We had someone do this over the summer, and when he joined the security team, he sent a note that said, "Without the support and training that I learned in the Security Ninja program, my move to info security wouldn't have been possible." So in a world where security talent is pretty hard to come by, it's a really cool thing that we've accidentally built to have sort of an on-ramp into the security team. So what does it mean if you are nominated and decide to join the Security Ninja program? Well, what it means, first off, is that you're going to spend about 20% of your time doing Security Ninja stuff. We view you as an extension of the security team, and our security ninjas are authorized to make decisions, security decisions, within their teams as long as those decisions don't violate the security policy. So the 4 responsibilities that security ninjas have are, first, to build and maintain security knowledge. If you're going to be making security decisions, we want you to be hopefully making good decisions. We want them to guide their teams in security best practice, and that can take a lot of different forms. It could be consulting when they have pen test findings. It could be helping them do a threat model. It could be participating in a chartering session. So as a new application is being stood up, they consider security from the beginning. The security ninjas do help the teams make sure that they are maintaining application inventory data. It's important to know the risk of an application so that we know the security requirements that apply. And then the last responsibility, which certainly isn't to be minimized, is that they are a voice of customer for the info security team. Most of the ninjas that we have are developers working in development teams, but they know the security tools better than their development peers, and they know what we're trying to achieve. So if our tools aren't hitting the mark, or if our processes are confusing, they are an invaluable partner to tell us where we should be improving our tools. So these are the 4 official responsibilities that security ninjas have, but because we've chosen those folks that are really influential and really passionate all the time, we see them going way above and beyond. We have a point of sale system, and the security ninja assigned from the program for the point of sale system, his name is Ryan. And over the last couple of months, he created an augmentation to our security tests. The tests that we offered didn't cover the languages that they use on their team. So he built an augmentation of that so it would cover the languages that they used within their team, which is awesome. Mohit in our Bangalore office really liked product intelligence and liked the value that he got, but he wanted to measure additional things. So he built an extension of the product intelligence system for his team. These kind of stories happen all the time because we have really, really passionate team members as part of the program. So we talked about building and maintaining security knowledge. What that really looks like is 4 things. First, you go to security fundamentals. And when you're onboarding, you also go to hands-on hacking, where you get to try to exploit some vulnerabilities in a website that we've created to be intentionally vulnerable. We have monthly information sharing sessions where we go deep on specific topics. We're really thoughtful about making sure that we identify actions if we want ninjas to take any actions. We have Slack at Target, and the Slack room is private for the security ninjas, and it's a very active space where ninjas are constantly collaborating to try to solve problems together. We have quarterly hands-on events, and then for those people who really do go above and beyond, we offer elevated belts. So you join the program as a white belt, but you can also become a purple belt or a black belt as you gain that knowledge and do some really cool projects. We know anecdotally that people like being part of the program. We do a survey with ninjas every year in the form of a Net Promoter Score, or an NPS. And essentially NPS is a way to ask people what they think about things, and you take out the people who are neutral. It ranges from -100 to +100. And the score that Security Ninjas gave to the program collectively for the last year was a +49. And for context, that's the same as Apple. So people like being a security ninja as much as they like an iPhone. But we also see them making really meaningful change within their product teams. At the same time we survey ninjas, we also survey the product teams, and 79% of product teams rated their ninja as either effective or very effective at creating a culture of security within their team. All right, we've talked about 2 myths. We'll talk about the 3rd myth, which is scan all the things. And really the myth here is providing teams as much information as you can. The security world is really scary. There's lots of things that can go wrong. And so the theory that we had in 2017 when we created this Scan All the Things was teams would want to know everything about their application. They'd want to know all the flaws, and they'd want to know them as quickly as we could get to them. And so we got very excited and built this system that we call Spotlight SAST, which gives teams all the information that they need. So we rolled out the system in 2017 into 2018 and started really telling teams all the things that were wrong with their applications. And they hated it. It was way too much information and way too noisy. So if I can back up a little bit, here's the objectives of what we were trying to do when we built this system. We wanted to improve application security by integrating SAST, or static application security testing, or static scanning, into engineering practices. We wanted to do that with the same values that we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes. We want to meet developers where they work. We want to offer end-to-end solutions. We want the right way, the secure way of doing something to be the easiest way. But in a couple of ways that we implemented the system, we created a lot of friction and a lot of noise that we needed to address in the next version. So essentially, what is Spotlight SAST? It's an integration between where we manage our code and where we do that static scanning, which looks at the code and tries to identify potential security flaws. It's intended to be really easy. Team members can make some decisions about how they want to see their feedback and try to adjust their systems and make some code modifications if flaws are found. But as I mentioned, in the first version that we rolled out, we had really 3 critical flaws. The first was we made the assumption that as soon as we found something, teams would want to know about it. And also, every time we found something, they would want to know separately so they could manage that work. And what ended up happening is that we were bombarding teams sometimes with dozens of alerts every time they scanned in code with a lot of information. The second flaw that we had when we implemented the system is that we didn't alert a team if they didn't have any security flaws found. But we also didn't alert them if the scan failed. So a lot of times they were left not hearing anything back from the system and wondering if the scan failed or if they didn't have any issues. And third, we offered pretty limited information on how to address any flaws that we found in the system. So in the version that we've recently launched in the last 12-ish months is something that has a lot more detail for them to know how to fix issues. We consolidated all of the feedback so it's a lot easier to consume, and given the teams the option to customize how they get alerts from the system to make it work in a little bit more with general engineering practices. So it's been a lot. It's been a really fun 3 or 4 years to be working in this space, to be doing such really cool programs. And I'll just summarize with some of the learnings that we've had across these and other of the product security efforts. And as you zoom out a little bit, the things that we've learned really aren't different across the 3 different systems. Iteration is really important, and I just mentioned that with Spotlight SAST. You start small and you build something that works, and then as you learn more and get input from your customers, really be comfortable iterating and pivoting to make sure that you're bringing the most value. The second really important learning is to focus on the behavior. Whenever we're making decisions across all of these programs, we ask ourselves, what behavior do we want to drive? And that's been really important with the Security Ninjas. When we roll out something to the Security Ninjas, we're very clear to them, don't just learn this information. What behavior do we want to drive within the Security Ninja community, but also within their development partners as to why we're rolling out this particular request or effort? And lastly, this is really hard for security people, keeping it simple. We have 4,500 developers, 200 products at Target, and if we had rolled out a product intelligence system that was really hard to understand, it would have been hard to get the adoption levels that we have. So really focusing on simplicity is an important way to make sure that your security products land in the way that you want them to. So that's kind of the end of the journey that we've been on in the product security space for the last 3 or 4 years. I started out by saying it's super fun. I will close by saying it's still super fun. And if anyone has any questions about the work that we've done or what it's like working in security or in product security, we're certainly happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jen. Yeah, so we'll start our Q&A session here. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen there. I know we did have one question earlier in the chat that I will read. What tool process are you leveraging to manage the PI score and dashboard? And what framework are you using for the scoring? Is this based on top of something that the industry uses or on your own methodology?
So it's based on our own methodology. Product intelligence is something that the algorithm we developed, the kind of back-end connections to the systems we developed. We have a team, we started with 2 or 3 developers and we've really grown because the scope of the system has grown. But it's a really good example of some of the innovation and development that we're actually doing within the security team. The thing that we do lean on from a foundation perspective is that the UI that you saw was an open source product, but really that's just more of a presentation layer for everything that's underneath the scenes.
Great, and then there's 2 questions pertaining to the graduate program. I'm not sure if Jen or Miranda, if you can answer that, the 2 questions. Can newly grads join this program? Also, is the security program like a graduate student program?
Yeah, I can answer from an undergrad side. So for our undergraduate opportunity, it's called the Technology Leadership Program. And within that program, it's a 13-month program that you have about a month of training, and then you do 2 6-month rotations. And our team members in our TLP program are able to join security teams along with all other teams that are at Target. So there's definitely opportunities for you within security.
Yeah, absolutely. I can add on to that. We've had Target Leadership Program participants in our team multiple times. We love having TLPs on our team, and it's a really good place to learn about both development and security if you're interested.
Great, that's all the questions I see. I can pause for a couple seconds if there's any other questions. Here we go. What relationship exists between infrastructure, enterprise security, and product security?
Infrastructure, information security, and product security. Well, product security is a function under information security. I currently work in the cybersecurity organization, so my direct leader, Jody Kaut, is the one who kicked off the session today. From an infrastructure perspective, organizationally, that is a separate team, but we partner extremely closely. Wherever possible, we build security into the way that we roll out applications. The infrastructure team uses a lot of applications, so it's really symbiotic relationships between infrastructure and security just like we have with all of the development teams at Target.
And there was a follow-up question from earlier. Would you say that all of these efforts and this approach has shifted security way up front in the design process, and you are starting to see the gains and no findings being reported from post-deployment scanning, which ideally could be the case if the process is working as designed?
Well, my first thought that comes to mind is I sure hope so, and it definitely feels like that. We've seen anecdotally a lot of measurements are closed. We used to measure how quickly we close findings as one of our important measurements, and we're like really a lot farther along and the speed in which we close things than we used to be. So I think a lot of measurements point toward the fact that I do think that security is being considered more upfront by development teams. And that's really helpful because we have, hopefully, those active engaged security ninjas with development teams at the earliest phases and saying, hey, did you think about this? And did you think about this? So I do think that's true. I couldn't point you to a single, like, and here's how we know, but a lot of factors really factor into us feeling great about that.
And what projects will the team be working on soon, if you can share any?
We're doing a lot. I mean, there's just a lot in the application security space. It sounds like I don't mean it because I can't possibly like it this much, but I really do. We are working a lot on making some advancements in the way that we look at the security of not only the code that we write, but of the code that we leverage, like open source libraries. And so we're doing a lot of development work and investigation around how we can do more to help developers understand the vulnerabilities in the libraries that they're using. We continue to make big investments in the Security Ninja program. We've really been expanding a lot over the last few months with the folks in our Bangalore office, and that's posed some interesting challenges since we're the folks who run the program are based here in the US. We're continuing to make some innovation in the pen testing space and think more holistically about pen testing and how we can make sure that we're getting ahead of really exciting things that could be found in applications and things like that. So, so many things that it's almost hard to pick, but those are probably the three that come to mind.
Great, thanks so much, Jen. Now we're running short on time, so unfortunately we're going to have to move to the last slide. I want to talk about our open positions that we have here. But before that, I want to welcome everybody to come to our next PowerPoint next week. It's on online grocery shopping powered by Shipt. It's Wednesday, September 16th from 4 to 4:45 Central Standard Time. So feel free to RSVP to that. So we have a number of positions that we have posted pertaining to Grace Hopper. If you'd like to check those out, go to jobs.target.com/Grace Hopper. Just know that we have a bunch of positions open today. We'll be continue to open those positions over the next couple of weeks as we get closer to Grace Hopper. So if you don't see anything right away that you're interested in, just keep checking out because we'll have, again, more positions opening shortly here. We do have positions in the security space. So roles like computer security, incident response, information rights management, security engineering, and penetration testing as well. And then a number of other positions outside of security. So software engineering roles of all levels, typically 4 years of experience plus. Our tech stack at Target is JVM-based languages, microservices on Spring Boot or Ratpack, Cassandra, MongoDB, Postgres, React, mobile development, so iOS and Android native, Google platform, cloud platform, OpenStack, deployments, Docker and Kubernetes, AI and machine learning as well. We also have leadership roles. We have engineering manager roles. We also have our EMIP positions, which is Engineering Management Immersion Program that is focused on gender diversity. And then data science roles. We have experience roles, so senior AI engineer roles, senior AI scientist roles. We also have campus data sciences positions as well, master's and PhD level internships. and then full-time master's data science roles as well. So that concludes our webinar. Just want to thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. Again, if you can come next week, we'd love to see you again. So thanks so much and have a great rest of your day.